Okay, next up, Morgan Stegemiller. Morgan, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, there you are.
Reproduction is one of the most essential functions for life. Without being able to reproduce, a species would soon become extinct. Even though it is so essential, many couples still face fertility issues, and cattle are the same way. Without getting too much into the birds and the bees, two ways we measure fertility in female cattle are with reproductive tract scores and antral follicle counts. Reproductive tract scores measures the maturity of that cattle because similarly in humans, the animal must first be mature enough to sustain that pregnancy. To do this, we look at the development of the uterine horns and of the ovary. An antral follicle is one stage that an egg must first pass through before it can be ovulated and fertilized. In beef cattle, the number of antral follicles is important because as that number increases, so does the likelihood that that animal is going to be able to become pregnant. Using the beef cattle herd at our own University of Idaho's Nancy M. Cummings Center in Carmen, Idaho, we examined the genome to see if there were any genes associated with improved reproductive tracts or the number of antral follicles that a female presented with. We identified genetic variants with 13 genes that showed improved reproductive tracts. We also saw that 2 genes had genetic variants that caused delayed development of the reproductive tract. In looking at antral follicle count, we saw that there was genetic variants in 9 genes that caused an increased number of antral follicles. Identifying these genes is important because they can help us determine the biological pathways that affect fertility. This study, we identified genetic variants and also genes and biological pathways that contribute to reproduction. Many species still face problems when it comes to fertility, even though it is one of the most basic and necessary functions in life. Understanding the genetics and the biological pathways that contribute to fertility can help us improve those reproduction levels so that every creature, from cattle to the endangered giant panda to humans, can understand the joy that newborn life brings.
Thank you, Morgan. Interesting. So my guess is that the cattle and beef industry is very interested in your research.
Yes, we're working with different producers down at the Nancy M. Cummings Center to look at these genetic variants to, as I said, hopefully make improvements in the cattle industry, but also understand those biological pathways so we can, understand what genes go in and how to affect them, not only in cattle, but in other species as well.
So it's interesting you talked about the giant pandas. What would be the next species you'd want to work on?
So there's just a lot of different species that have fertility issues, such as the giant panda. So knowing, more about reproduction, more about these pathways can help us to, work at them more. I mean, humans alone also have a lot of these same issues, and a lot of the pathways that I found also contribute to human fertility as well. So there'd be a lot of different species that they could take this research and look at these different genes to see if those genetic variants are also present in these other species.
Okay, thank you very much.